Buongiorno from Italy. Some people panic when they hear us telling them, please share your software as an open source on the internet, or at least part of it. And they tell us how we are going to make money with open source software, how we can publish our codes for free on the internet and expect to get revenue and grow our businesses. And of course, there is a lot of things you can do with open source software that can drive innovation, but also drive revenue and also innovation as well. Let's find out. First, what is an open source software? It's a code that you publish on code sharing and code control platforms like GitHub on the internet, typically in what is called repositories, or as developers abbreviate it, repos. Users from all over the world can download it and use it as well. This is against proprietary software where you have to buy license for it in order to use it. Proprietary software guarantees for companies monopoly on the market. However, typically it is expensive to buy the license, and sometimes it involves very expensive development plans and innovation cycles. You need to hire massive amount of developers in order to keep the pace of proprietary software. On the other hand, with open source software, you get users, but also from these users, you can get developers that can help you moving forward and speed up the process of innovation of your software. The culture of open source software sparked out from 90s, in particular with Linux Foundation, where the team of Linux developed this Linux as an open source version that's based on Unix. And once they achieve amount of users and developers, they formed a community or a Linux community, and now we have it as a Linux Foundation. There is many benefits of open source software. It speeds up the innovation cycle, the feedback cycle. You also get developers that can contribute to your software with new innovative ideas that comes from fresh minds, so you get fresh ideas. And most importantly, you form community around your software. In other words, you get contributions from developers, fixes for your bugs, you receive ideas about more features and more services that you can add to your code. And actually in the current market, there is a lot of companies that are using or having their software as an open source on the internet. For example, like NVIDIA, GitHub, Proton Mail, Android, Huawei Technologies, and Oracle as well. So in brief, open source software guarantees the feedback cycle, the innovation cycle, and also guarantees the reliability and the maintainability of the software itself, because nothing can guarantee a product on the market than the users who are using the product itself. But here is the thing, if all companies publish their codes on the internet for free, what is in it for them? How they can make money with it? And this is a very important question. To answer it, I will start with an example that's extensively is mentioned during tech conferences, but also in many tutorials on the internet. And it's about the Red Hat technology or Red Hat platform. So Red Hat has a Linux version that's paid, and it applies to many companies around the world. However, Red Hat itself publishes CentOS, and CentOS is a free version of Red Hat. But why they are doing this if they have the paid version of Red Hat? Why they have a free version of Red Hat on the market? This is because to leverage the power of an open source software community. Having CentOS on the internet will guarantee for them to have fast, innovative, and fast feedback for the baseline of their commercial product, Red Hat operating system. They can have many users around the internet, so they learn from them. They learn from their experience, their feedback, and how they perceive the product. And also they have developers and contributors who contribute by fixing bugs, but also adding more features and more surfaces to CentOS. And hence, Red Hat can leverage the knowledge around this in enhancing their commercial product. But what is the typical cycle of open source software? So a typical cycle involves mainly three main stages. You have developers or a developer who push their codes on code sharing or code control platforms like GitHub. So you have it on a public repository, and users from all over the world can download it. Among those users, you might also find developers or contributors who give you an ideas about fixing bugs, but also adding features and so on. And this is the first step in the cycle. Then we come to the second part. Once you have these kind of ideas or suggestions, you study them. And the ones on your team that approve this, called the committers, so they add those features or approve their addition to the public repository, and they become now part of the code from this particular developer. Once you have a certain number of users and developers, then this community above certain size will form a foundation, like Linux Foundation, for example. And this will draw the attention of investors and companies as well. And here we come to the three main pillars of an open source software. The first pillar is about community fit. While publishing the software as an open source code on the internet, you know how many users and active developers would contribute to your software, how many commits you would get, and new ideas. So you know the feedback cycle and the innovation cycle, and also the growth of the software itself. This could be measured by GitHub stars and the stars that on GitHub. So that gives a direct metric related to the community fit. Then we come to the second pillar, which is about the product fit. The product fit is about how many users on the internet are downloading this software. And this gives you an idea about the product fit, how many users are using this product, what kind of user experience they have, and also gives you more insights about what kind of features and the services they are expecting from your software. And this could be measured from the number of downloads, for example, on GitHub. Above certain threshold of an active community and the number of downloads, hence we come to what's called the commercial value or the commercial revenue and the value of this open source software. Now, with this kind of awareness, that will drive companies to be alerted about the importance of this software and how they can leverage this software in their products and their industry as well. And typically, the investors or the team on a company, on a customer side, will ask the hierarchy or the team responsible for an open source software to tailor the open source software for their services. And hence we come to the third pillar of an open source software cycle, that above a certain threshold of the number of downloads, the community growth, and the product fit, that will draw the attention of investors and the companies and increase the awareness about the product itself, about the open software code and its importance. And hence they will start to ask the active teams, the teams that work like architects or CTO of this maintaining the software, to tailor made this software for their needs and add the features they are looking for. And then they pay money for it, like what happens with Red Hat. And this answers the question, what is in it for me and for all companies if they publish their software as an open source? The idea is that with an open source, you cannot guarantee that this software would work for the needs that you are expecting or you are looking for. So you need to hire either the team that's responsible for developing this open source community or open source code, or a third party that can tailor this open source code for your needs and services, but also maintaining security, the performance, a smooth user experience, and of course improve reliability and the usability of this software in your product. And for this, you pay money for companies, for example, like Red Hat. In other words, you have an open source that grows on the internet, and of course there is a lot of developers, but not all the time this open source software would work for your needs. So you need a third party or someone to make it fit with your product line and a train of products. And this is typically could be the developer team of this open source software, or could be a third party. Yeah, you need someone to blame for the failure of your products basically, or to blame if the code it didn't work. And here it comes when companies generate money, because there is services around this open source software and how to make it fit for the product line on the customer side. We see many examples on the market with an open source software like Python. You have a Python, and with every version you get inconsistencies. So if you have a code that works with a particular version, a few months later it might not work, or you might have a lot of inconsistencies. So you might hire a company that can maintain this for you, maintain this kind of smooth experience, and with every version they make sure that things run smoothly, or you can hire a team on your board that can do this for you, or you can ask active community of Python to do this, and then you can hire from them. There is two sides with open source software. You get free innovative ideas, very fast feedback cycle, and fresh ideas. But with that, you get a bit of little inconsistencies or unpleasant experience, because sometimes things might conflict with one another, and this is what we see with Python. With every version, there is inconsistencies with the previous versions. So if you have a code that works with a particular version, maybe a few months later it won't work at all, or you might have a lot of errors. So to circumvent this, you either hire developers who are active in the Python community to make a smooth experience for you and also guarantee that the code works all the time with all versions, or you might hire a third party to do this, or you might hire a team for yourself of developers that can maintain this as well. Finally, with open source software, you have a control of what you are looking from the code, because you can add the features that you want to do, and also the surfaces, add-ons, and so on. This is different from proprietary software because it's very closed system. You need to contact the company all the time and pay a lot of money in order to keep that cycle going, and they have to respond and adapt, and there is not much of things can be done on your side to fix those. You have to wait for the main proprietary software company to fix things for you or add the services that you are looking for. And with that, a lot of people are moving slowly from proprietary software to open source software, because even if you hire a team, you can have a control over the final product. I come from numerical computing world, and open source development packages like Python and Julia are now prominent because you can develop everything in them. You can maintain your code, but also you can provide business value around it. And also we have a startup, and we have all of our codes on the internet on a public domain. So we allow users and we allow developers to contribute to the code, and also learn from the feedback cycles that are available all over the place, and learn from other expertise as well. And here we come to the important question: will proprietary software end in the near future? Yeah, that's not the case. However, it's most likely that the market will be dominant with open source software slowly, because there is companies that are using proprietary software either for their own internal development or for other companies as well that pay sufficient money for the development associated with this proprietary software. In other words, the market dictates the term. So once there is sufficient customers that are using proprietary software and pay for it, this proprietary software will continue. However, if there is declining, and now we see it with some paid numerical computing software, they are not trendy anymore, so the users are declining, but also the contributors and the active community is declining. Hence, the proprietary software, this particular proprietary software might collapse in the future. I think that open source software will dominate the market, or at least most of it. So all what we need is to publish our code, or at least most of it, on the internet, and build a community around it of users and active developers and committers. Learn from their expertise. And once we achieve a good size of community, we study the product fit. We see how this product is helping others and how to make it more beneficial for them. After that, we started to develop our own business value and build the services around it and help customers as well. So I hope I have answered the question how to make good business value with open source product and software. And please feel free to leave your comments and feedback in the comments below, or contact me privately. Ciao from Italy.